breaking down the latest charter drama. The teams say NASCAR went back on their word. Stewart-Haas picks a side, plus plenty more NASCAR news to catch up on after this past weekend. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. We've got Truck and Xfinity Series driver news as well to discuss. But first, this episode is sponsored by 5 Minute Pet Bath. As the name suggests, 5 Minute Pet Bath is simple to put together, easy to use. It's the only dog washing product on earth that's focused on reducing the stress of bath time. It's also the only product that allows you to give your dog a full-body Epsom salt bath without having to fill up the tub. Cosmo is not usually this chill during bath time. 5 Minute Pet Bath is a great holiday gift for any dog owners out there. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or click the Amazon link down in the description below. Be sure to use code GROOVE24 to get 10% off any 5 Minute Pet Bath products on Amazon. Be sure to take advantage of that deal. Thank you to 5 Minute Pet Bath for sponsoring the show and keeping Cosmo clean. He likes to dig, will roll around in pretty much anything, so this comes in handy. Lots of ground to cover. Happy Monday, folks. I hope you had a great weekend. It was a busy weekend. Lots of drivers and teams making headlines, though somehow 2014 NASCAR Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick and his son Keelan managed to fly under the radar. Apparently, Keelan Harvick is now a young fan, and Kevin Harvick is, an NPC lurking in the background? Yeah, a lot of NASCAR fans were all over the official NFL Twitter account for failing to recognize Kevin Harvick. Look, I wouldn't expect most NFL social media content people to recognize a retired NASCAR driver out of uniform, but at the same time, it does highlight NASCAR's superstar problem. NASCAR is a bigger brand than any of the drivers currently racing, and I'm not counting part-time Dale Jr. NASCAR has 77 years of history, 77 years of name recognition. They own the Daytona 500, the sport's most popular event by far. It's why NASCAR was able to get more of what they want out of the most recent charter negotiations. We'll talk more about that in a few. This ties into a recent report from Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal, where he wrote that NASCAR plans to have a decidedly driver-centric marketing focus in 2025 as the series starts an incentive program that will pay drivers anywhere from tens of thousands of dollars up to around $1 million for their efforts to promote the sport each season. There's a quote from NASCAR COO Steve O'Donnell, who says NASCAR is going to focus on highlighting driver personalities. Sports Business Journal also reports that drivers will be incentivized to participate in media opportunities, podcasts, other interviews. It's wild to me, honestly, that NASCAR basically has to bribe its drivers to go out and promote themselves. But I hope this does work. A lot of drivers do put themselves out there. Denny Hamlin puts himself out there every single week on Actions Detrimental. Joey Logano does a spot on Sirius during the season. Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and others let the Netflix crew into their lives last year. So it's not like drivers aren't actively promoting themselves and the sport, but absolutely they could be doing more. NASCAR right now does not have that transcendent star. They don't have a Jeff Gordon, a Dale Earnhardt. They don't have what baseball has in Shohei Ohtani or what the WNBA has with Caitlin Clark. They don't have a Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift. They've got the talent, the Kyle Larsons, the Elliots, the Busch. They just don't have a personality or a character that seemingly resonates with millions and millions of people, that transcends the sport. Hopefully, bribing its stars to go out and promote the sport is effective. Time will tell. Kevin Harvick should be recognized by the official NFL Twitter account. That he was not shows there's a problem. Moving on, I don't want to dwell on that. We have so much to get to. It was a busy weekend. On Friday, Rajah Caruth walked across the stage, graduated from college, and announced he'll be back with Spire Motorsports full-time in 2025. Big day for the reigning Truck Series most popular driver. Rajah had a breakout 2024. Won his first ever NASCAR race, Las Vegas, early in the season. Was consistent throughout the year, only one DNF, an average finish of 11.6, made the playoffs, got through the first round. Really good season from Rajah Caruth. Rajah's a longtime friend of the show. He's a great guy, a student of the game. But when you look back at what he did in ARCA and some of the early growing pains racing part-time in Xfinity, there are real questions. Does this kid have it? Steve Phelps, NASCAR president, once touted Rajah as a future star. It's a lot of pressure to put on a young kid. 2024, in my opinion, was the first year Rajah began to live up to the hype. I wouldn't consider him the top Truck Series prospect, but he's in that conversation. The HendrickCars.com endorsement is a big deal. Again, the guy is extremely likable. I don't think I've ever heard anyone in the industry say a bad word about Rajah Caruth. I'm hoping Rajah can take another step in 2025, year 2 with Spire Motorsports. I remember when I graduated college, I did this show all throughout college. When I graduated in 2020, it was kind of weird. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Suddenly I could devote all 100% of my attention to this show, to NASCAR. I was reading more, listening to more, watching more, producing more. I felt rejuvenated, excited to focus all of my energy on this project. I'm not sure what Rajah's work-life balance looked like before 2025, but hopefully next year he will be able to put all 100% of focus into his career, and maybe we see Rajah take another leap in 2025. That would be awesome. I'm rooting for him. Good luck to Rajah Caruth next season. Matt DiBenedetto has signed a 2-year extension with Viking Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. According to Sportsnaut, they will go from the 38 to the number 99 in 2025 and are switching from Ford to Chevy. They will now have an alliance with Richard Childress Racing. What that looks like is unclear, though Jeff Micenti, writing for Sportsnaut, noted a quote from Viking Motorsports owner Don Sackett, apparently a post he made to Facebook. In that post, Sackett explained that Toyota had no engines available for them. Ford was offering them a bare bones deal. Sackett called the Chevy deal, quote, the least bad option. That's not exactly inspiring, but he does say they have a long-term plan, trust the process. Matt DiBenedetto is a more than capable driver, especially by Xfinity Series standards. I think he's pretty good. The real question is, how competitive can Viking Motorsports be next year full-time? Yes, they have an RCR alliance. That probably means leased Chevy engines. They should run top 20 next year, but can they break into the top 15, top 10 consistently? That remains to be seen. I'm really not doubting DiBenedetto, or at least not his ability. I'll question the fit. He's had issues with his previous teams. Those relationships often fall apart eventually, but I'm not doubting the driver's ability. I'm questioning this team because they're still so new. Going full-time next year is a huge undertaking. What does this RCR alliance really mean? That's what I'm questioning. My prediction is this is a 17th place team most of next year. That's my prediction right here, right now, but we'll see. Maybe they blow my expectations out of the water. Let me know what you expect from Matt DiBenedetto and Viking Motorsports in 2025. Finally, I know I'm a couple days late on this, but I want to get everyone up to date on the latest lawsuit drama. The ongoing antitrust lawsuit is between 2311 and Front Row and NASCAR, but there's a complicating third party that's implicated in all of this, and that's Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart-Haas Racing agreed to sell 2 of their charters, one to 2311 and one to Front Row. As things currently stand, 2311 and Front Row would still like to purchase those charters as long as the "you can't sue us" clause in the agreement is removed. That's part of why these teams refiled a motion for preliminary injunction, but NASCAR has now said they will not approve these charter transfers. Right now, the 2 teams, 2311 and Front Row, must prove to Judge Kenneth Bell, who was recently assigned to this case, that they will suffer immediate irreparable harm if their preliminary injunction request is not granted. Recently, their arguments have shifted. Last week, the teams argued that they have been harmed by NASCAR going back on their word. Front Row Motorsports General Manager Jerry Freese wrote in an affidavit that NASCAR President Steve Phelps had verbally assured Front Row Motorsports that their purchase of a Stewart-Haas charter had been approved. Freese writes, quote, "On September 11th, 2024, I had a telephone conversation with NASCAR President Steve Phelps. During that conversation, Phelps volunteered that Front Row was already approved for the SHR charter transfer and only needed to submit the customary transfer documents. Front Row's Jerry Freese then submitted evidence in the form of an email thread with Steve Phelps. Freese says that back in September, he asked Phelps to confirm the transfer fee for the charters, and Phelps wrote back, quote, "You are correct, Jerry. The transfer amount would be $50,000, assuming they sell before the end of the year." Based on that information, Front Row Motorsports says they believed their purchase of a Stewart-Haas charter would be approved. Then Jerry Freese writes that on December 5th, NASCAR informed the teams that they would not approve the sale. Freese writes, quote, "NASCAR informed us on December 5th that it objected to the transfer and would not approve it, in contrast to the previous oral approval for the transfer confirmed by Phelps before we filed the lawsuit. NASCAR made it clear that the reason it was now changing course and objecting to the transfer is because NASCAR is insisting that we drop the lawsuit and antitrust claims against it as a condition of being approved. NASCAR's refusal to approve the transfer is causing additional irreparable harm to Front Row. In reliance on Phelps' assurances of approval on September 11th and 12th, we have made significant investments in our operations as part of our plans to operate a third chartered car for the 2025 Cup Series. We have also made several commitments with sponsors in preparation for running the third chartered car." Freese is arguing that this sudden change in course is causing immediate harm to Front Row Motorsports as they try to prepare for the 2025 season, which is right around the corner. I hope that all makes sense. What makes this even more interesting is that now Joe Custer, representing Stewart-Haas Racing, wrote in his own affidavit, quote, "NASCAR officials conveyed to me on more than one occasion that once the buyers submitted their transfer approval forms and signed their respective joinder agreements, NASCAR would promptly provide the necessary approvals to transfer the charter agreements to the buyers. If the sales transactions are not consummated in 2024, Stewart-Haas Racing will suffer irreparable harm." This doesn't mean, at least as I understand, that Stewart-Haas Racing is joining the lawsuit against NASCAR, but it's clear they've picked their side. They're siding with the teams because if the teams either win the lawsuit or have their injunction request granted, Stewart-Haas can then sell their charters and make probably upwards of $40 or $50 million. It's all about getting their money, but that's why Stewart-Haas Racing is now making this case. This is also interesting because a few weeks back when the teams lost their initial injunction request, they were told that their evidence was too speculative. We might lose sponsors. We might lose our drivers. These latest filings, to me, express a heightened sense of urgency. Hey, we were told months ago that these transfers would be approved, so we began hiring, budgeting, building in preparation for that. Now you've pulled the rug out from under us. We've been left out to dry. That is immediate, irreparable harm. That's, in a nutshell, I think the argument the teams are attempting to make here. Will this be an effective argument? Maybe. I mentioned there's a new judge now assigned to this case. It's unclear why the previous judge was replaced. It's also unclear when a hearing will occur. No hearing date has been set as of now, and it's nearly Christmas. It's almost New Year's. Again, and I should always lead with this, I am no legal expert, but you would imagine this injunction hearing is quite time sensitive. What with the season being less than 2 months away, the new year is only a couple weeks away. I'd imagine they'd want to get the ball rolling a little bit. Maybe the holidays complicate things. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm not an expert. I don't really have an opinion on all the things I just reviewed with you. I'm not sure if a verbal agreement is legally binding in any way, shape, or form. Even that one email that Front Row submitted as evidence, yeah, it sounds like NASCAR said one thing and then ultimately did another. Circumstances also changed during that time. Originally, Front Row in 2311 weren't suing NASCAR. Now they are. So, I don't know. It all depends on what the judge thinks. It doesn't matter what I think. It really doesn't matter at this point what anyone else thinks. It matters what goes down in the courtroom, how the judge interprets these arguments. Once the preliminary injunction is decided on, approved or denied, the actual case can potentially go forward, and I think the entire situation will become clear. It will be more clear who has more pressure on them. Is NASCAR feeling the pressure, or will the teams be feeling the pressure to settle, to reach some sort of compromise. But that is the latest. I know it's a couple days old, but I wanted to update all of you as we've been following this lawsuit, of course, for months now. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe for more NASCAR content and commentary all year long. And as always, a big thank you to my generous Patreon supporters. I will see you all again very, very soon. Have a great rest of your Monday, folks. Thanks again for tuning in.